Hey story enthusiasts! This is Cross Naruto bringing you another gem. In this video, we present to you what if Naruto was the divine poison. The cursed sage titans feared to name Naruto x Akhlys x Nyx, Percy Jackson. If you enjoy these stories as much as we enjoy sharing them, please like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Let's dive in. Chapter 1, Poison in the Blood. Naruto hit the ground hard, his body skidding across wet grass before slamming into something solid. Pain exploded through his back as darkness swam at the edges of his vision. What the hell, he groaned, pushing himself up on shaky arms. This wasn't fire country. The air felt wrong, heavier, older somehow. Nothing looked familiar. Tall pine trees surrounded him instead of the massive forests of his homeland, and the night sky displayed constellations he'd never seen before. Naruto's head throbbed as fragmented memories rushed back. The mission. The ancient scroll. The flash of light when he'd touched the seal, trying to stop Sasuke from, Sasuke. Naruto shouted, spinning around despite his protesting muscles. No response. Just the whisper of wind through unfamiliar trees. He was alone. Great. Just freaking great, Naruto muttered, checking his equipment. His kunai pouch was still attached to his thigh, and his headband remained firmly tied around his forehead. At least that was something. A twig snapped somewhere to his left. Naruto froze, instantly dropping into a defensive stance. Whatever was out there, it wasn't human, his senses screamed that much at him. The chakra signature felt wrong. Twisted. Like nothing he'd encountered before. I know you're there, Naruto called out, drawing a kunai. Might as well show yourself. A low growl answered him, and then something massive burst through the underbrush. The creature stood easily 8 feet tall, with a bull's head mounted on a man's muscular body. Its nostrils flared as it stomped forward, massive hooves crushing fallen branches. Okay, that's new, Naruto said, whistling. And here I thought Orochimaru's experiments were freaky. The bullman roared, lowering its horns and charging straight at him. Naruto waited until the last possible second before leaping high, flipping over the creature's head. He landed nimbly behind it, already forming a familiar hand sign. Shadow Clone Jutsu. 4 perfect copies of Naruto appeared in puffs of smoke, each wearing the same determined expression. The bullman skidded to a stop, clearly confused by the sudden multiplication of his prey. Let's see what you've got, Naruto said, grinning as his clones rushed forward. The first clone slid beneath the creature's legs while 2 more attacked from the sides. The bullman bellowed in rage, swinging massive fists that dispersed one clone in a cloud of smoke. But while it was distracted, the real Naruto circled behind, forming a swirling ball of chakra in his palm. Rasengan. He drove the spiraling sphere directly into the creature's back. Instead of the usual impact, however, something strange happened. As his chakra-infused attack connected, green smoke erupted from the contact point. The bullman let out a sound that wasn't quite a scream, more like a hiss of steam escaping a pressure valve, and began to dissolve before Naruto's eyes, crumbling into golden dust that scattered on the wind. Naruto stared at his hand in confusion. What the? He didn't have time to finish the thought. The forest around him suddenly came alive with movement. More creatures emerged from the shadows, dog-sized scorpions with human faces, women with mismatched metal and donkey legs, and what looked like flying, leathery old women wielding fiery whips. You killed the Minotaur, one of the metal-legged women screeched. But worse, you poisoned him. The divine poison walks again. Naruto backed up slowly, trying to process what he was seeing. Look, I don't know what a Minotaur is, or what you're talking about with this poison stuff, but I'm not looking for trouble. Too late, hissed one of the bat ladies, her whip cracking the air inches from his face. We sensed the disturbance when you arrived, half-blood. But you're something else, aren't you? Something worse. Half-blood. Divine poison. None of this made any sense. But one thing Naruto knew for certain, he was surrounded by hostiles in unknown territory. Fine, he said, settling into a fighting stance. We'll do this the hard way. The creatures attacked as one, converging from all directions. Naruto formed more shadow clones, creating chaos as his duplicates engaged the monsters. He needed information, not just victory. What are you talking about? One clone demanded as it dodged a scorpion stinger. What's a half-blood? Playing dumb won't save you, the scorpion thing chittered. We can smell the god blood in you, but it's tainted. Wrong. Another clone grabbed one of the bat women by her whip, pulling her close before she could react. Where am I? What is this place? The creature laughed, a sound like sandpaper on stone. Lost, are we? Good. The poison shouldn't find its way home. Before the clone could ask more, a metal leg impaled it from behind, dispersing it in a puff of smoke. The real Naruto leapt high into the air, his hands already forming signs. Wind style, gale palm. A massive gust of concentrated wind blasted outward from his hands, knocking several creatures back. But when the chakra-infused air touched them, the same green smoke erupted wherever it made contact. The monsters shrieked in what seemed like genuine terror. It burns. The poison burns. Retreat. Tell the others. The curse returns. Just as quickly as they'd appeared, the creatures scattered, some limping away while leaving trails of golden dust, others simply disintegrating entirely when too much of Naruto's chakra had touched them. Naruto stood alone in the suddenly silent forest, breathing hard. He looked down at his hands with growing unease. His chakra had never done that before, dissolved creatures into dust or created that eerie green smoke. Something was very wrong with his body. Hey, Kurama, he whispered inwardly, reaching for the familiar presence of the nine-tailed fox. You seeing this? Instead of the usual sarcastic response, Naruto felt nothing. The connection was there, but muted, as if Kurama was unconscious or sealed more deeply than before. Great, he muttered, stranded in whatever this place is, and now you decide to take a nap. A rustling from the trees made him spin around, kunai at the ready. Whoa! Easy there, came a young male voice. We're not monsters. Three figures emerged cautiously from the tree line. The one who'd spoken was a teenage boy with messy black hair and sea-green eyes. Beside him stood a blonde girl with intense gray eyes that seemed to be analyzing Naruto's every move, and on her other side, a taller boy who walked with a strange gait, as if his legs weren't quite right. Yeah. Naruto said, not lowering his weapon. Those other things looked pretty human too, until they didn't. The black-haired boy raised his hands. Fair point. I'm Percy Jackson. This is Annabeth Chase and Grover Underwood. We're from Camp Half-Blood. There's that half-blood thing again, Naruto said, eyes narrowing. What does that mean? And where am I? The three exchanged glances. You really don't know? The blonde girl, Annabeth, asked, her voice skeptical. You just took down a minotaur and a pack of monsters with, whatever that wind thing was, and you don't know about half-bloods? Look, I've had a really weird day, Naruto replied, finally lowering his kunai but keeping it in his hand. Last thing I remember, I was on a mission with my team in the Land of Fire. Then there was this scroll, a bright light, and now I'm here fighting bullmen and scorpion people who dissolve into dust when I hit them. So maybe cut me some slack on not knowing your local terminology, yeah. The one called Grover sniffed the air, his expression growing concerned. Percy, Annabeth, he doesn't smell right. Not completely human, but not like any half-blood I've ever smelled either. And there's something else. He sniffed again. Something, toxic. I can hear you, you know, Naruto said, irritation creeping into his voice. And I'm perfectly human, thanks. I just have, a complicated situation. Percy stepped forward cautiously. Look, whatever you are, this forest isn't safe at night. Those monsters will be back with friends. Our camp is nearby, it's protected. You can at least come get some food and rest while we figure this out. Why would you help me? Naruto asked, suspicious. You don't know me. Because that's what we do, Percy replied simply. Help half-bloods, or whatever you are, who are being chased by monsters. Unless you'd rather stay out here alone. Naruto weighed his options. These three seemed genuine enough, and he needed information desperately if he was going to figure out what happened and how to get home. Fine, he said, finally tucking the kunai away. But no funny business. Wouldn't dream of it, Percy said with a half-smile. Though I should warn you, funny business is kind of our specialty. As they walked through the forest, Naruto kept his guard up, listening as Annabeth attempted to explain where he was. This is Long Island, New York, she said. And if you really don't know what half-bloods are, they're people who are half human, half god. Greek gods, she clarified when Naruto looked confused. They're real, and they sometimes have children with mortals. Those children are half-bloods, or demigods. Gods, Naruto repeated flatly. Right. Says the guy who just created copies of himself and shot wind from his hands, Percy pointed out. That's just chakra manipulation, Naruto shrugged. Where I'm from, lots of people can do it. We're shinobi, ninja. Ninja, Grover echoed, sounding impressed. That explains the weapons and the moves, but not the other stuff. What other stuff? Naruto asked. The green smoke, Annabeth said. The way the monsters called you the divine poison and seemed terrified. The way your chakra, was it? The way it seemed to dissolve them on contact. Naruto frowned. That's never happened before. My chakra doesn't usually work like that. They crested a hill, and Naruto saw a large pine tree at the top. Beyond it, nestled in a valley, he could make out what looked like a collection of buildings, some designed in a style he didn't recognize with columns and open pavilions. Welcome to Camp Half-Blood, Percy said. Home for people like us, well, like us, anyway. We'll have to see what you are. As they approached the pine tree, Naruto felt a strange sensation, like walking through an invisible barrier. The moment he crossed it, an alarm seemed to sound from nowhere, conch shells blowing in the distance. That's not normal, Grover said nervously. Lights began turning on throughout the camp. Within minutes, a crowd had gathered at the base of the hill, many carrying weapons and looking battle-ready despite clearly having been woken from sleep. At the front of the crowd stood a man, no, not quite a man, Naruto realized with shock. From the waist up he appeared human with a beard and ancient eyes, but where legs should have been, a white horse's body extended behind him. A horseman? Naruto blurted out. Centaur, Annabeth corrected. That's Chiron, our activities director. Chiron trotted forward, his expression grave as he studied Naruto. Percy, Annabeth, Grover, what have you brought into our camp? He was fighting monsters in the woods, Percy explained. Took down a minotaur and a bunch of others. He says he's a ninja. Naruto stepped forward. My name is Naruto Uzumaki, shinobi of the Hidden Leaf Village. I don't know how I got here or where here even is, exactly. But I'm not your enemy. Chiron's eyes widened slightly. Naruto, a maelstrom. He switched to a language Naruto didn't recognize, speaking rapidly to a girl with red hair who had joined him at the front of the crowd. The redhead's eyes suddenly rolled back in her head, and green mist, different from the smoke Naruto's chakra had produced, but unnervingly similar, poured from her mouth. When she spoke, her voice sounded like three people talking at once. The forgotten poison awakens once more, terror of titans from days of yore. Child of two worlds, of fox and of night, brings balance or doom by dawn's first light. Night's daughter shall guide the poisoned sun, when the curse that was hidden has finally begun. The girl collapsed, caught quickly by other campers. A stunned silence fell over the crowd. Well, Chiron said, his voice tight with what sounded like suppressed alarm, it seems the oracle has taken an interest in our visitor. What just happened? Naruto demanded. What was that about poison and foxes? A prophecy, Annabeth murmured, staring at Naruto with new interest. Spontaneous prophecies are extremely rare. Chiron recovered his composure, straightening to his full height. Mr. Uzumaki, I believe we have much to discuss. But first, perhaps a demonstration of your abilities would help us understand what we're dealing with. You want me to fight? Naruto asked, glancing at the armed campers. Not fight, Chiron corrected. Simply demonstrate. If you wouldn't mind. Naruto shrugged. A demonstration might actually help explain things better than words. Sure, I guess. What do you want to see? Those copies of yourself that Percy mentioned would be a good start, Chiron suggested. Easy enough, Naruto said, forming the hand sign. Shadow Clone Jutsu. A dozen perfect copies of Naruto appeared around him in puffs of smoke, causing many campers to gasp or raise their weapons. Each clone gave a little wave or struck a pose. They're solid, not illusions, Naruto explained. Each one can think and act independently. To demonstrate, one clone pulled out a kunai and tossed it to another, who caught it effortlessly. And that wind technique? Chiron prompted. Wind style, gale palm, Naruto said, dispelling his clones before forming different hand signs. He directed the blast away from the campers, toward an empty patch of ground. The concentrated wind struck the earth, kicking up dirt and grass. But as it did, that same green smoke appeared, spreading outward from the point of impact. Where it touched the ground, the grass withered instantly. Gasps and murmurs spread through the crowd. Even Naruto stared in shock. What the hell, he whispered. This definitely wasn't normal. Chiron's face had gone pale. I believe that's enough for now, Mr. Uzumaki. Annabeth, Percy, please escort our guest to the big house. The rest of you, return to your cabins. As the crowd reluctantly dispersed, still casting wary glances at Naruto, Chiron approached him directly. Young man, the centaur said quietly, I don't know where you came from or how you came to possess such power, but I must warn you, there is something deeply unusual about your energy. It appears to be toxic to the very fabric of our reality. I don't understand, Naruto said, genuinely confused. My chakra has never done anything like this before. Perhaps it is this world that has changed your chakra, was it? Chiron suggested. Come, we have medical facilities. I'd like to examine you, with your permission. Naruto hesitated, then nodded. If anyone could help him understand what was happening to his body, it seemed like this horseman might be his best bet. The big house turned out to be a 4-story blue mansion with white trim. Inside, Chiron led them to what looked like an infirmary, with several empty beds and cabinets filled with medical supplies, though many weren't like any medical equipment Naruto recognized. Please, sit, Chiron instructed, gesturing to one of the beds. Naruto sat cautiously, watching as the centaur opened various cabinets, pulling out vials and instruments. So, Percy said, breaking the awkward silence, you're a ninja. Yep, Naruto replied, keeping one eye on Chiron's preparations. Like, the black pajamas, throwing stars kind of ninja? Percy asked. Naruto snorted. No. Real shinobi. We use chakra, a combination of physical and spiritual energy, to perform jutsu. The shadow clones, the wind attack, those are jutsu. And where exactly is this hidden leaf village? Annabeth asked, her analytical gaze never leaving him. Fire Country, one of the 5 great shinobi nations, Naruto said, then frowned when he saw their blank expressions. You've never heard of it, have you? Can't say that I have, Percy admitted. And I'm pretty sure there's no Fire Country on Earth. Naruto's stomach sank. So I'm not just in a different country. I'm in a different world entirely. It would appear so, Chiron said, approaching with a small device that looked like a handheld scanner. If you'll permit me. Naruto nodded, and Chiron ran the device over his arm. Immediately, it began to spark and smoke, the digital display flashing wildly before going dark. Interesting, Chiron murmured, setting aside the now broken scanner. That doesn't seem good, Naruto observed. Indeed, Chiron agreed. Mr. Uzumaki, would you object to a small blood sample? I promise it will be handled with the utmost care. Naruto shrugged. Go for it. Chiron prepared a syringe, carefully drawing a small amount of blood from Naruto's arm. The moment the crimson liquid filled the tube, however, it began to glow with a faint greenish tinge. By the gods, Chiron whispered. He quickly transferred the sample to a sealed glass container, which he placed under what looked like a microscope attached to a computer screen. The images that appeared showed Naruto's blood cells, but they were surrounded by a green aura that pulsed rhythmically. What am I looking at? Naruto asked, leaning forward. Your blood appears to contain some kind of energy that's foreign to our world, Chiron explained. It's remarkable. It seems to be transforming the very nature of your cells. Is that why monsters called him the divine poison? Annabeth asked. And why his chakra killed them on contact? Chiron's expression grew troubled. Perhaps. There are ancient legends, tales from before the Titanomachy, the great war between the Titans and the Olympians, of a force so toxic that even immortals feared its touch. A poison that could unmake divine flesh. But those are just stories, or so I believed. Great, Naruto muttered. So not only am I stuck in another world, but my chakra has turned into some kind of god-killing poison. Just perfect. We should test it, Percy suggested. Not on people, he added quickly when everyone looked at him. But maybe on some ambrosia or nectar. That's god food, he explained to Naruto. Demigods can eat a little, but too much burns us up. Mortals can't handle it at all. A controlled test might be informative, Chiron agreed reluctantly. He trotted to a cabinet, retrieving a small square of what looked like a golden brownie. This is ambrosia. I'll place a drop of your blood on it, if you're willing. Naruto nodded. Chiron carefully extracted a single drop from the vial and let it fall onto the ambrosia. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The golden square sizzled, turning black where the blood touched it, green smoke rising as it rapidly disintegrated into ash. Well, that's unsettling, Naruto said with forced cheerfulness. So I'm basically poison to everything in your world? Not everything, Chiron corrected. The barrier around camp reacted to your presence but didn't reject you. And while your energy seems toxic to divine substances and creatures, Percy, Annabeth, and Grover were unharmed in your presence. Small mercies, Naruto sighed, running a hand through his spiky blonde hair. So what now? I need to find a way back to my world before I accidentally kill someone with this, whatever it is. Before Chiron could respond, the doors to the infirmary burst open. A tall, athletically built girl with stringy brown hair stormed in, followed by several other tough-looking campers. Chiron, what gives? She demanded. The whole camp's buzzing about some poison kid, and you're just, she stopped short when she spotted Naruto. This him? Doesn't look like much. Clarice, Chiron said in a warning tone, this is not the time. No, I think it is, the girl, Clarice, replied, crossing her arms. If he's staying at camp, we need to know what he can do. I say we test him properly. I've already demonstrated my abilities, Naruto said coolly, taking an immediate dislike to her attitude. She reminded him too much of the bullies from his childhood. Clarice snorted. Party tricks. I mean combat. One-on-one. Absolutely not, Chiron interjected. Naruto's abilities are potentially dangerous, I'll do it, Naruto interrupted. Everyone turned to stare at him. What? If I'm stuck here for a while, I might as well establish where I stand. Besides, I can control my chakra. I won't use any jutsu, just taijutsu, hand-to-hand combat, he clarified. Clarisse grinned, a predatory expression. Perfect. Arena, 10 minutes. As she and her friends left, Chiron fixed Naruto with a stern look. That was unwise. Clarisse is a daughter of Ares, the god of war. She's one of our most formidable fighters. Naruto shrugged, already standing. I've faced worse. Besides, I need to test my limits in this world, see what's different. Might as well do it in a controlled setting. Percy looked at him with newfound respect. You're either really brave or really crazy. Bit of both, Naruto admitted with a grin. The arena turned out to be a circular sandy pit surrounded by stone seating, not unlike the Chunin exam arena back in Konoha. By the time they arrived, it seemed the entire camp had gathered to watch, voices buzzing with excitement and speculation. Naruto stood in the center, taking slow, deep breaths. He'd decided to fight without his jacket, leaving him in his black t-shirt and orange pants. He needed to be careful, no chakra, no shadow clones, nothing that might accidentally hurt someone with this new toxic effect. Clarisse entered from the opposite side, wearing bronze armor and carrying a spear that crackled with electricity at its tip. Her friends cheered loudly as she twirled the weapon with practiced ease. Last chance to back out, Blondie, she called. Naruto just smiled. Ladies first. Clarisse growled and charged, spear aimed directly at his chest. Naruto waited until the last possible moment before sidestepping with a speed that clearly surprised her. As she stumbled past, he tapped her lightly on the back, just enough to demonstrate he could have landed a real blow. Point to our visitor, Chiron announced from the sidelines. Clarisse spun around, her face flushed with anger. Lucky dodge. This time she approached more cautiously, jabbing her spear in quick thrusts designed to keep him at a distance. Naruto weaved between the attacks, analyzing her style. She was good, strong and quick, with solid technique, but nowhere near the level of opponents like Sasuke or Kakashi. After letting her push him back for a few moments, Naruto suddenly dropped to the ground, sweeping his leg in a wide arc. Caught off guard, Clarisse toppled backward, her spear flying from her grasp. Before she could recover, Naruto was standing over her, one foot lightly placed on her armored chest. The arena went silent. 2 points, Chiron called, sounding impressed. Naruto extended a hand to help Clarisse up, but she slapped it away, rising on her own with a scowl. We're not done, she growled, retrieving her spear. Best of 5. Naruto shrugged. Fine by me. The next exchange was more intense. Clarisse had learned not to underestimate his speed and fought with greater discipline, forcing Naruto to work harder to avoid her attacks. Her spear grazed his arm at one point, sending a painful jolt of electricity through his body. Like my spear, she taunted. Lamer. It's got a special charge just for punks like you. Naruto grimaced, shaking out his tingling arm. Cute toy, he replied. But relying on weapons means you're not confident in your own abilities. That taunt hit home. With a roar of frustration, Clarisse threw aside her spear and charged him barehanded. Exactly as he'd hoped. While she was undoubtedly strong, hand-to-hand combat was where Naruto excelled. He blocked her first punch, deflected the second, then landed a light tap on her sternum. 3 points, Chiron announced. Match to Naruto. The crowd erupted in a mixture of cheers and disappointed groans. Money visibly changed hands among the spectators. Clarisse stood panting, her expression a mixture of rage and grudging respect. You're good, she admitted begrudgingly. For a freak. Thanks, Naruto replied cheerfully. You're not bad yourself. Your stance is a little wide, though. Makes you vulnerable to sweeps. Before she could respond, the ground between them suddenly cracked. A small patch of grass had somehow grown through the sand of the arena floor, and where Naruto's sweat had dripped onto it, the grass was withering, releasing wisps of that same green smoke. The atmosphere immediately tensed. Clarisse backed away, her hand instinctively reaching for her discarded spear. "What the hell is that?" she demanded. Naruto stared at the dying patch of grass, his momentary good mood evaporating. That would be the poison thing everyone's so worried about. Chiron quickly intervened, trotting into the arena. "That's enough excitement for today. All campers, please return to your scheduled activities. Naruto, please come with me." As the crowd dispersed, whispering and casting nervous glances back at him, Naruto felt a familiar sensation settling in his chest: isolation. The same feeling he'd grown up with in Konoha, when people avoided him because of the Nine Tails. "Don't worry about it," Percy said, approaching him as they left the arena. "They'll get used to you. They did with me, and I'm the son of Poseidon. That was a whole thing." "Is that supposed to be impressive?" Naruto asked, genuinely curious. Percy laughed. The big three gods, Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades, made a pact not to have any more children because we tend to be, problematic. So yeah, it caused some issues when I showed up. "Seems stupid," Naruto commented. "Blaming kids for who their parents are." "Tell me about it," Percy agreed. "So, ninja skills, huh? That was pretty awesome. You weren't even trying, were you?" Naruto shrugged modestly. "Clarisse is strong, but where I come from, I've fought people who could level mountains with a single jutsu." "Mountains?" Percy repeated, eyebrows raised. "Okay, now you're just showing off." A smile tugged at Naruto's lips. Despite everything, he was starting to like Percy. The guy reminded him a little of himself, sarcastic, loyal to his friends, and apparently with his own complicated parentage issues. Their conversation was interrupted as Annabeth jogged up to join them. "Chiron wants us in the war room," she said. "He's called an emergency council meeting." "About me, I'm guessing," Naruto said. "Your situation does present certain challenges," Annabeth admitted diplomatically. The war room turned out to be around a ping-pong table, which struck Naruto as oddly casual for something called a war room. Already seated were several other campers, including Clarisse, who glared at him, a boy with mischievous eyes who seemed to be fiddling with something mechanical under the table, and a few others Naruto hadn't met. "This is the cabin counselor meeting," Annabeth explained quietly as they entered. "Each cabin represents a different god, and the head counselors make decisions for the camp." Chiron stood at the head of the table, his tail flicking nervously. "Thank you all for coming on such short notice. As you've no doubt heard, we have an unusual visitor." He gestured to Naruto. "This is Naruto Uzumaki, who appears to have arrived from another world entirely. And his presence brings complications we must address. Like the fact that he's apparently toxic?" Clarisse interjected. "Not to demigods, it seems," Chiron corrected. "But yes, his energy appears harmful to divine beings and substances. Which raises questions about where he should stay while he's with us." "I can't go in the regular cabins?" Naruto asked. Chiron shook his head. "Each cabin is dedicated to a specific god or goddess. Given your unique condition, placing you in any of them might be seen as an insult to that deity." "Great," Naruto muttered. "So where do I sleep? The woods?" "Actually," the mechanical boy spoke up, "what about Bunker 9? It's isolated, reinforced, and no god claims it." "Leo has a point," Annabeth agreed. "The bunker would be safe, both for Naruto and from any potential effects of his condition." Naruto looked between them, confused. "What's Bunker 9? "An old workshop hidden in the forest," Leo explained. "Fireproof, monster-proof, and designed to withstand pretty much anything. It's where I work on my projects." "It's settled then," Chiron said. "Naruto will temporarily reside in Bunker 9, with Leo showing him how to access it." "And what about figuring out why I'm here and how to get home?" Naruto asked pointedly. A heavy silence fell over the table. That, Chiron said carefully, may be more complicated. Interdimensional travel is not something even the gods engage in lightly. But I promise we will consult every resource at our disposal. Starting with the prophecy, Annabeth added. Child of two worlds, of fox and of night. That clearly refers to you, Naruto. And, night's daughter shall guide the poisoned sun, that must be important. Night's daughter. Chiron mused. That would be a child of Nyx, the primordial goddess of night. But Nyx rarely has demigod children, and none are currently at camp. What about the fox part? Percy asked. That means something to you, doesn't it? He said, looking at Naruto. You reacted when the oracle mentioned it. Naruto hesitated, unsure how much to reveal. These people had been kind so far, but his status as a Jinchuriki was complicated even in his own world. It's personal, he finally said. Where I come from, I have a connection to a being known as the nine-tailed fox. It's sealed inside me. More stares. You have a fox, inside you? Clarice asked skeptically. Not just any fox, Naruto explained reluctantly. Kurama is a tailed beast, a being of pure chakra with enormous power. He's been sealed inside me since I was a baby. Like a possession? One of the other counselors asked, looking alarmed. No, Naruto said firmly. More like, coexisting. We share my body, but we're separate beings. Usually, I can communicate with him, but since I arrived here, he's been silent. I think the transition between worlds affected him somehow. Chiron stroked his beard thoughtfully. A being of pure energy. I wonder if this Kurama might be related to the toxic effect your chakra now has. Perhaps his energy has been transformed by crossing between realities. Maybe, Naruto conceded. But that still doesn't explain the divine poison thing, or why monsters seem terrified of me. Actually, a new voice spoke up from the doorway, I might be able to help with that. Everyone turned. Standing in the entrance was a girl Naruto hadn't seen before, tall and slender with long dark hair that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Her eyes were so dark they appeared almost black, and her skin was pale as moonlight. She moved with a fluid grace that seemed almost supernatural. Astra, Chiron said, sounding surprised. I didn't realize you had returned to camp. I arrived during all the excitement, the girl replied, her gaze fixed on Naruto. I felt him arrive. The night itself trembled. Felt him? Annabeth repeated. What do you mean? Astra moved into the room, and Naruto noticed how the shadows seemed to cling to her, stretching and following her movements like eager pets. My mother is Nyx, she explained. Goddess of night, daughter of chaos. And she has been waiting for him. She pointed directly at Naruto. Or rather, for what he carries. Naruto felt a chill run down his spine. You know what's happening to me? Not entirely, Astra admitted. But I know this, the poison in your veins is ancient, predating even the Titans. My mother has spoken of it in my dreams, a force that exists to balance divine power when it grows too great. Balance? Percy asked, confused. The gods, the Titans, all divine beings, they are powerful, but not infallible, Astra explained. Long ago, before the first Titanomachy, there existed a counterforce, a poison that could harm even immortals. It kept the cosmic powers in check, prevented any single entity from becoming truly omnipotent. And you think I'm carrying this poison now? Naruto asked incredulously. Astra nodded solemnly. The divine poison was believed lost eons ago. But it seems it found its way to your world, perhaps merging with your fox spirit. And now, it has returned to ours. But why? Annabeth pressed. Why now? The prophecy mentioned balance, Chiron reminded them. Brings balance or doom by dawn's first light. Perhaps there is a threat looming that requires this counterforce. Naruto felt overwhelmed. Not only was he stranded in a strange world, but now he was apparently carrying some ancient cosmic poison that predated gods. This is insane, he muttered. I just want to go home. And you may yet, Astra said, her voice softening slightly. But first, I believe my mother wishes to speak with you. The prophecy was clear, Night's daughter shall guide the poisoned sun. That would be me, guiding you to her. Great, more cryptic god stuff, Naruto sighed. Fine. When do we leave? Tonight, Astra replied. My mother's power is strongest in the deepest part of night. I'll come for you when it's time. With that, she turned and left, shadows trailing after her like a living cloak. Well, Percy said into the silence that followed, that was dramatic. Despite everything, Naruto laughed. The absurdity of his situation was almost becoming comical. Stranded in a world of gods and monsters, with poison for blood and a meeting with the goddess of night on his schedule. Leo, Chiron said, breaking the tension, perhaps you could show Naruto to Bunker 9 now. He should rest before tonight. Sure thing, Leo agreed, standing up. Follow me, Poison Boy. I'll give you the grand tour. As they left the big house, Naruto found himself walking alongside Leo through the camp. All around them, teenagers were engaged in activities that ranged from normal, archery, canoeing, to decidedly not, what looked like chariot racing and fighting with actual swords. So, Leo said conversationally, interdimensional traveler with toxic god-killing blood. That's a new one, even for us. And believe me, we get some weird stuff around here. I'm still processing it myself, Naruto admitted. Yesterday I was just a shinobi on a mission. Today I'm apparently some cosmic poison container who has a date with the night goddess. Leo grinned. That's camp life for you. One day you're worrying about capture the flag, the next you're saving the world from ancient evils. They entered the forest, following a path that grew progressively less defined until Leo stopped in front of what appeared to be a solid rock face covered in vines. Here we are, he announced proudly. Naruto looked around, confused. Here we are, where? Leo's grin widened as he placed his hand against the rock. Suddenly, lines of fire spread from his palm, tracing a massive door that had been invisible moments before. With a rumbling groan, the stone parted, revealing a cavernous space beyond. Bunker 9, Leo said, gesturing grandly. Mi casa es su casa. At least until you stop being toxic to the gods. Naruto stepped inside, his eyes widening as he took in the enormous workshop. Workbenches lined the walls, covered with half-finished projects and strange tools. Blueprints and diagrams hung everywhere, and in the center of the room sat what looked like the beginnings of a massive bronze dragon. You built all this? Naruto asked, impressed. Some of it, Leo shrugged. Most was here already, left by my siblings from the last few centuries. Children of Hephaestus, god of the forge, he added, seeing Naruto's confusion. We're good with our hands. I can see that, Naruto said, examining a complicated-looking device on a nearby table. Careful with that, Leo warned. It's a prototype Greek fire grenade. Still working out the kinks. Naruto hastily put it down. So I'm staying here. Yep. There's a cot in the back room. Not fancy, but it beats sleeping outside with the monsters. Leo hesitated, then added, look, I know this is all weird, but for what it's worth, I think you're handling it pretty well. Most people would be freaking out way more. Naruto shrugged. This isn't my first crisis. Besides, panicking never solved anything. Leo nodded appreciatively. Smart man. Hey, I should get back to camp for dinner, but I'll bring you some food later. Anything specific you want? Got any ramen? Naruto asked hopefully. Leo looked blank. Are what? Never mind, Naruto sighed. Whatever you're having is fine. After Leo left, Naruto explored the bunker more thoroughly, careful not to touch anything that looked dangerous. Eventually, he found the back room Leo had mentioned, with a simple cot, a small bathroom, and even a stack of clean clothes that looked roughly his size. Exhaustion suddenly hit him like a physical blow. The dimensional travel, the fights, the revelations, it had all taken a toll. Naruto sank onto the cot, his mind racing despite his body's fatigue. "What do you think about all this, Kurama?" he asked aloud, reaching inward for the fox's presence. Still nothing but that muted connection, like trying to talk through a thick wall. Naruto lay back, staring at the ceiling. "Divine poison, huh? Just when I thought being a Jinchuriki was complicated enough." As his eyes drifted closed, Naruto couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning of something much bigger. And somewhere deep in his consciousness, he thought he felt Kurama stir, just slightly, as if the fox was dreaming of something long forgotten. Dreams came quickly, but these were unlike any Naruto had experienced before. He found himself floating in an endless void, stars swirling around him in patterns that made his eyes hurt if he tried to follow them. There was no up or down, no sense of direction at all. "Uzumaki Naruto," a voice spoke from everywhere and nowhere. "So you have come at last." A figure materialized before him, a woman of impossible beauty, her skin the deep blue-black of the night sky, with stars seeming to move across her body like living tattoos. Her hair flowed around her head like dark water, and her eyes held galaxies within them. "You're Nyx," Naruto realized. "The night goddess." She inclined her head slightly, a gesture that somehow conveyed both acknowledgement and amusement. "I am. And you are the vessel that carries what was lost." "The divine poison," Naruto said. "That's what everyone keeps calling it. But I don't understand what it is or why it's in me." "Because you were made to contain power," Nyx replied. "Your world shaped you to be a perfect vessel for the nine-tailed fox. Our world recognizes that capacity and has filled it with something else, something that belongs here." "But what is it exactly?" Naruto pressed. "Astra said it was some kind of counterforce to gods and titans." Nyx moved closer, her presence both terrifying and mesmerizing. "Long ago, when the primordial forces first took form, myself, Gaia, Uranus, and the others, there came into being a power that could unmake us. A necessary balance, ensuring that no divine being could become truly absolute. And this power is poison?" "To immortals, yes," Nyx confirmed. "To cosmic forces, to the very fabric of divine existence. It could harm what should not be harmed, kill what should not die. The Titans feared it above all else, and when they rose to power, they hunted it mercilessly until it vanished from our world." "But it didn't die," Naruto guessed. "It escaped to my world somehow." "Precisely," Nyx said, her starry eyes gleaming. "And there it remained, hidden, perhaps merging with the beast you carry, until you inadvertently brought it back." "That scroll," Naruto murmured, remembering. The mission was to recover an ancient scroll that was supposedly filled with forbidden jutsu. "When I touched it, it recognized you," Nyx finished for him. "The divine poison sensed a suitable vessel and a path home." "So what does this mean for me?" Naruto asked. "Am I stuck here now? And why is this poison thing so important all of a sudden?" Nyx's expression turned grave, the stars across her skin pulsing more rapidly. "Because balance is once again threatened. The defeat of Kronos and Gaia has created a power vacuum. Old forces stir in the void, forgotten titans and primordials who would reshape reality to their will. Without a counterbalance, they may succeed. And I'm supposed to be that counterbalance?" Naruto asked incredulously. "I just want to get back to my friends, my village. I didn't sign up to be some cosmic poison container in a world I don't even understand." Surprisingly, Nyx laughed, a sound like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. "So much like him." "Like who?" "The original bearer," Nyx said, a hint of nostalgia in her voice. He too was reluctant, argumentative, determined to forge his own path rather than accept the role fate had chosen. What happened to him? Naruto asked. He lived, he fought, he loved, and eventually, he died, Nyx replied simply. As all mortals must. But before his death, he sent the poison away, hiding it where even the Titans could not follow. To my world, Naruto concluded. So it would seem, Nyx agreed. And now it returns when it is needed most. That is no coincidence, Naruto Uzumaki. Look, Naruto said, frustration building, I get that there's some big threat coming and this poison stuff might help. But I need to get home. People are counting on me there too. And you shall return, Nyx assured him. If that is truly your wish, once balance is restored. But first, you must understand what you carry and learn to wield it properly. My daughter will help you. Astra, Naruto said. She has prepared for this her entire life, though she did not know it, Nyx confirmed. Trust her guidance. And now, it is time for you to wake. The night wanes, and there is much to do. Before Naruto could protest, the starry void began to dissolve around him. Nyx's form blurred, stars scattering like dust in the wind. Wait! Naruto called. What about Kurama? What's happened to him? Nyx's voice came faintly, already distant, the fox sleeps, dreaming ancient dreams. What awakens may not be what was. The last thing Naruto saw before waking was a pair of eyes opening in the darkness, not Nyx's starry gaze, but familiar red eyes with slitted pupils. Kurama's eyes, yet somehow different, older, filled with knowledge that the fox had never possessed. Naruto bolted upright on the cot, gasping for breath. Sweat covered his body, and where it touched the sheets, small wisps of green smoke rose. He quickly pulled away, cursing under his breath. Bad dream? Naruto's head snapped up. Astra stood in the doorway, watching him with those impossibly dark eyes. She wore simple black clothes that seemed to blend with the shadows around her. Not bad, Naruto said, collecting himself. Just, intense. I met your mother. In your dreams, Astra nodded. She told me she would reach out to you. Did she explain? Some of it, Naruto admitted, standing up and stretching. Something about balance and ancient forces stirring. Not exactly the most helpful information. A small smile touched Astra's lips. My mother deals in mysteries and shadows. Direct answers are not her style. Great, Naruto muttered. So what happens now? Now, we begin your training, Astra said simply. You must learn to control the divine poison, to direct it rather than let it leak from you unconsciously. And how exactly do we do that? Astra's smile widened slightly. We find something divine for you to poison, of course. That was how, an hour later, Naruto found himself standing in a clearing deep in the forest, facing what Astra had described as a minor nature spirit, though to Naruto, it looked like a beautiful woman with skin the color of tree bark and hair made of autumn leaves. Are you sure about this? He asked nervously. I don't want to hurt her. Cypress has volunteered, Astra assured him. She understands the importance of your training, and as a dryad, she is connected to her tree. Even if your power harms her manifestation, she can reform. The dryad, Cypress, nodded encouragingly, though Naruto noted she kept a respectful distance. What exactly am I supposed to do? Naruto asked. Focus your chakra, Astra instructed. But instead of forming it into one of your techniques, try to feel the new element within it, the poison aspect. Concentrate on directing just that portion. Naruto closed his eyes, centering himself as he'd been taught long ago. He could feel his chakra flowing through his body, the familiar warm energy that had been his companion since childhood. But now there was something else intertwined with it, a cooler current, slightly viscous, like oil mixed with water. I can feel it, he murmured. It's like a separate layer wrapped around my normal chakra. Good, Astra encouraged. Now, try to gather just that layer in your hand. Imagine drawing it to your palm while leaving your regular chakra flowing normally. Naruto concentrated, visualizing the toxic energy separating from his chakra and pooling in his right hand. To his surprise, it responded, gathering as he directed. When he opened his eyes, his palm glowed with a faint green light, wisps of the now familiar smoke curling between his fingers. "Well done," Astra said, sounding genuinely impressed. "Now, I want you to release just a small amount, the smallest you can manage, toward Cypress." Naruto hesitated. "It won't kill her." "It will hurt," Cypress spoke up, her voice like rustling leaves. "But I am connected to my tree. I will recover." Still reluctant, Naruto extended his hand toward the dryad. Focusing intently, he released the tiniest thread of the toxic energy, directing it toward her. The effect was immediate. Where the green mist touched Cypress's arm, her bark-like skin withered, turning gray and brittle. She gasped in pain, staggering back. "Enough," Naruto said, immediately cutting off the flow. Cypress steadied herself against a nearby tree. "It burns," she said, examining her damaged arm. "Like acid, but deeper. It burns at the divine essence itself." "I'm sorry," Naruto said, genuinely distressed. "Do not be," Cypress assured him, though her voice was strained. "This is what we expected. And look, already it heals." True to her word, fresh bark was slowly spreading over the damaged area, though Naruto noticed it was a slightly different color than the rest of her skin. "You did well," Astra told him. "But this was only the first step. You must learn precise control, to direct the poison in combat, to shield others from its effects when necessary." "And you think I can learn all that before whatever threat your mother warned about arrives?" Naruto asked skeptically. "We must try," Astra replied simply. "Because if what my mother fears comes to pass, the divine poison may be the only weapon that can turn the tide." They continued training through the night, with Cypress bravely volunteering for several more demonstrations before needing to return to her tree to recover fully. By dawn, Naruto had made progress. He could now separate the toxic energy from his regular chakra at will, direct it with reasonable precision, and even form it into simple shapes like a sphere or blade. "You learn quickly," Astra observed as they watched the sun rise from the edge of the forest. "Most would take weeks to gain the control you've achieved in hours." Naruto shrugged modestly. "I've had practice with difficult chakra control. Sage mode, Kurama's chakra, this isn't so different, really." "Perhaps that's why the poison chose you," Astra suggested. "You already possessed the skills needed to wield it effectively." Before Naruto could respond, a horn sounded from the direction of the camp. "The morning signal," Astra explained, rising gracefully to her feet. "We should return. You need rest, and I must report to Chiron on your progress." As they walked back, Naruto found himself studying Astra more carefully. Despite her reserved demeanor, there was something compelling about her, a quiet confidence, an ancient wisdom in eyes that seemed too young for such knowledge. And though he'd only known her for less than a day, he felt a strange connection, as if they shared something beyond this bizarre situation. "You're staring," Astra noted without looking at him. Naruto flushed slightly. "Sorry. I was just wondering, what's it like? Being the daughter of a primordial goddess?" Astra was silent for several steps. "Lonely," she finally admitted. "I have never truly belonged at camp. The children of Olympians see me as something alien, something to be wary of. My mother's domain is feared even among gods." "I get that," Naruto said quietly. "Where I'm from, I was feared too. People saw the fox inside me, not me." "Yet you smile easily," Astra observed. "You joke with Percy and the others as if such pain has never touched you." Naruto's expression softened. "I learned that hiding behind a smile sometimes makes the pain easier to bear. And eventually, I found people who saw past the fox, friends who became my family." "Then you are fortunate," Astra said. "Such bonds are rare." They reached the edge of camp as the sun fully cleared the horizon. Campers were already moving about, heading toward the dining pavilion for breakfast. Many stopped to stare as Naruto and Astra passed, whispering among themselves. "Word travels fast," Naruto remarked dryly. "You're the most interesting thing to happen to camp in weeks," Astra replied with a hint of amusement. "Enjoy the attention while it lasts. Soon enough, some new crisis will make them forget all about the poison boy." "Here's hoping," Naruto sighed. He spotted Percy and Annabeth at a distance, waving them over. "I should go talk to them, see if they've learned anything useful." Astra nodded. "Rest today. Tonight, we continue your training. And perhaps begin searching for answers about how to get you home." As she turned to leave, Naruto called after her, "Thank you for helping me with this." Astra paused, looking back with those fathomless dark eyes. "Don't thank me yet, Naruto Uzumaki. The path ahead may lead to places neither of us wishes to go." With that cryptic statement, she melded into the shadows beneath a nearby tree and vanished, leaving Naruto to wonder just what he had gotten himself into. Chapter 2, The Knight's Embrace. Naruto tossed a kunai in the air, catching it absent-mindedly as he sat cross-legged on the floor of Bunker 9. 3 days at Camp Half-Blood, and he was already going stir-crazy. Sure, the training with Astra each night had been productive, he could now control the toxic energy with surprising precision, but during the days, he felt like a caged animal. Leo had been cool enough, bringing him meals and chattering about his latest inventions. Percy and Annabeth visited too, filling him in on camp gossip and the ongoing research into interdimensional travel. But it wasn't the same as being free. "Screw this," Naruto muttered, catching the kunai one final time before tucking it away. He stood up, stretching his cramped muscles. He slipped out of the bunker, squinting as afternoon sunlight filtered through the trees. The campers were busy with activities, which meant he could probably explore without causing too much panic. His toxic chakra only leaked when he was emotional or using jutsu anyway. Naruto made his way through the forest, staying just inside the tree line as he circled the camp. From this vantage point, he could observe without being immediately spotted. Kids his age or younger practiced archery, sword fighting, rock climbing, with actual lava, which was pretty awesome, and other activities that seemed half summer camp, half military training. It reminded him a bit of the academy, though with more variety and way more dangerous equipment. "You shouldn't be wandering alone," a voice said behind him. Naruto didn't jump, he'd sensed Astra's approach seconds before she spoke. Her ability to move silently through shadows was impressive, but his shinobi training made him difficult to surprise. "I was bored," he replied, not turning around. "There's only so many hours I can spend staring at mechanical dragons and half-finished inventions." Astra moved to stand beside him, her dark eyes surveying the camp activities. "I understand. Confinement is its own kind of torture. So what's the plan?" Naruto asked, glancing at her. In the daylight, Astra seemed slightly less otherworldly, still unnaturally pale with those two dark eyes, but more solid somehow. "More training tonight? More lectures about balance and cosmic forces?" A hint of amusement touched her lips. "Actually, I thought you might enjoy a real challenge. It's time to see what you can do in a true shadow realm." Naruto's interest immediately sparked. "Shadow realm? Like what, another dimension?" "Something like that," Astra nodded. "Places where night is eternal and shadows have substance. My mother's domain extends through many such realms. There are creatures there that will test your abilities better than any dryad." "Now you're talking," Naruto grinned. "When do we leave?" "Tonight," Astra replied. "After dinner. Pack whatever weapons you wish to bring." "I travel light," Naruto said, patting his kunai pouch. "This is all I need." Astra's eyes narrowed slightly as she studied him. "Your confidence is either your greatest strength or a fatal weakness. I'm not yet sure which." "Bit of both, probably," Naruto admitted cheerfully. So, since we've got hours to kill before tonight, how about you actually tell me something about yourself? All I know is you're Nyx's daughter and you've got a thing for shadows. The request seemed to surprise her. What would you like to know? Anything. How old are you? How long have you been at camp? Do you have any hobbies besides cryptic warnings and vanishing into darkness? A genuine smile crossed Astra's face, small, but noticeable. I am 17, at least in mortal years. I've been at camp for 3 summers, though I leave frequently to train in my mother's realm. As for hobbies. She seemed to consider this. I enjoy star mapping. Charting the constellations as they change across different shadow realms. Star mapping, Naruto repeated. That's, actually pretty cool. Back home, I used to stargaze sometimes when I couldn't sleep. The constellations were like friends that never judged me. Something in Astra's expression softened. Yes. Exactly like that. An awkward silence fell between them, neither quite sure how to continue. Well, Naruto finally said, I should probably head back before someone spots me and freaks out about the toxic ninja wandering around. Actually, Astra said, I have a better idea. Come with me. Without waiting for his response, she turned and headed deeper into the forest. Naruto hesitated only a moment before following, curiosity overriding caution. They hiked for about 20 minutes, climbing steadily uphill until they reached a small clearing atop one of the highest points around camp. From here, they could see the entire valley, the collection of cabins arranged in a U-shape, the arena, the big house, and even the strawberry fields that stretched toward Long Island Sound. Wow, Naruto breathed. Quite a view. I come here sometimes when the camp feels too confining, Astra said. Few others know of this place. Why show it to me? Naruto asked, genuinely curious. Astra was quiet for a moment, her gaze fixed on the horizon. Because you understand what it's like to be feared for what you contain rather than who you are. The simple honesty of her answer caught Naruto off guard. He'd spent so many years in Konoha isolated because of Kurama, treated as a dangerous container rather than a person. It was a loneliness that had shaped his entire life. Yeah, he said softly. I guess I do. They sat in companionable silence as the afternoon wore on, watching the camp from their secluded vantage point. Naruto told her stories about his world, about Konoha, about his friends, about his dream to become Hokage. Astra listened attentively, asking occasional questions but mostly just allowing him to talk. In turn, she shared fragments of her life, growing up aware of her divine heritage, the isolation of being a child of a primordial deity rather than an Olympian, her journeys through shadow realms most demigods never glimpsed. So you can actually travel between worlds? Naruto asked, perking up. Could that help me get home? Astra's expression turned regretful. The shadow paths I walk connect realms within our multiverse. Your world exists outside of that, in a separate reality altogether. The scroll that brought you here created a rare bridge between completely distinct realities. Oh, Naruto said, deflating slightly. Worth asking, I guess. Don't lose hope, Astra said. There may be other ways. The gods themselves have vast knowledge, and if this threat is as serious as my mother believes, they may be willing to help return you home once it's resolved. The sun began to dip toward the horizon, casting long shadows across the valley. We should return, Astra said, rising gracefully. Dinner will be served soon, and we should prepare for tonight's journey. Night had fully fallen by the time they met at the edge of the forest. Naruto had eaten dinner in Bunker 9 again, while Astra had done whatever children of night goddesses did for their evening meal. She hadn't specified, and Naruto hadn't asked. Ready? Astra asked. She wore all black, a small pack slung over her shoulder. Around her neck hung a pendant shaped like a crescent moon that seemed to swallow light rather than reflect it. Born ready, Naruto replied with a confident grin. He'd used the afternoon to inspect and sharpen his kunai, and had practiced separating and controlling the toxic energy that now shared space with his normal chakra. "This way," Astra said, leading him deeper into the forest. They walked in silence for nearly an hour, following no path that Naruto could discern. Yet Astra moved with absolute confidence, never hesitating at any fork or obstacle. Finally, they reached a clearing where a single ancient oak tree stood, its massive trunk easily 15 feet in diameter. The tree seemed to radiate age and power, its branches stretching toward the star-filled sky like gnarled fingers. "This is a gateway," Astra explained. "One of the few fixed points where the veil between our world and the shadow realms is thin enough to cross without divine assistance." She approached the tree, placing her palm against its rough bark. The pendant at her throat began to glow with a deep purple light. "Children of Nyx can open such passages," she continued. "Though few know they exist." As she spoke, the darkness beneath the tree seemed to deepen, stretching and expanding until it formed what looked like a doorway of pure shadow. "Whoa," Naruto breathed. "That's some jutsu." "Not jutsu," Astra corrected. "Divine birthright. Now, stay close to me. The path is treacherous for those unaccustomed to shadow travel." She extended her hand. After a moment's hesitation, Naruto took it. Her skin was cool to the touch, but not unpleasantly so. Together, they stepped into the darkness. The sensation was unlike anything Naruto had experienced, not quite like falling, not quite like flying. His body felt weightless yet heavy, stretched yet compressed, all at the same time. Only Astra's firm grip kept him grounded as they passed through what seemed like endless void. And then, as suddenly as it had begun, the journey ended. They stood on solid ground once more, but in a world utterly unlike the one they'd left. The sky above was black velvet, scattered with stars in constellations Naruto had never seen. 2 moons hung overhead, one silver, one a deep blood red. The landscape around them was simultaneously familiar and alien, trees that resembled those on Earth but with bark that shimmered like metal, grass that glowed faintly blue underfoot, distant mountains that seemed to shift position when Naruto wasn't looking directly at them. "Welcome to the Twilight Realm," Astra said, releasing his hand. "One of the shadow domains connected to my mother's kingdom." "It's beautiful," Naruto said, turning slowly to take in the surreal landscape. "In a weird, kinda creepy way." Astra's lips quirked. "An apt description. This realm exists in perpetual twilight, never fully day, never completely night. It's one of the more hospitable shadow realms for mortals." "Meaning there are less hospitable ones?" Naruto asked, raising an eyebrow. "Far less," Astra confirmed. "Realms where shadows have teeth and hunt the unwary. Places where time flows backward or sideways. Domains where reality itself is mutable." "Okay, so definitely starting with the beginner level." "Good call," Naruto joked, though he kept his senses sharp. This place might be hospitable by Astra's standards, but he could feel eyes watching from the darkness between the metallic trees. "We're being observed," Naruto noted quietly. Astra nodded, unsurprised. "The denizens of this realm are curious about visitors. Most are harmless, most. And we're here to find the not-so-harmless ones, I'm guessing." "Precisely," Astra said with a hint of approval. "There are creatures here that will help you test the limits of your poisonous powers. Beings with divine essence but no connection to our world's pantheons. Perfect practice dummies," Naruto translated. "In a manner of speaking. Though I wouldn't suggest calling them that to their faces." They set off along a path that glowed faintly with the same blue luminescence as the grass. As they walked, Astra explained more about the divine poison that now flowed through Naruto's chakra network. "From what my mother has revealed, the poison was originally created as a safeguard, a counterbalance to divine power. In the earliest days of creation, when the primordials first took form from chaos, there was concern that any one entity might grow too powerful. So this poison was like divine quality control?" Naruto suggested. Astra smiled slightly. In crude terms, yes. It existed to ensure that even the most powerful beings had a weakness, a vulnerability. Without it, the entire cosmic order risked falling under a single tyrant's control. But then it disappeared, Naruto prompted, recalling fragments of his dream conversation with Nyx. Yes. During the rise of the Titans, Kronos in particular saw it as a threat to his rule. He hunted its bearer relentlessly. The legends say that in desperation, the last bearer cast the poison out of our reality entirely. Into my world, Naruto said, the pieces finally clicking. Where it somehow merged with the Nine Tails, or at least existed alongside him inside me. So it would seem, Astra agreed. And now, at a time when ancient forces once again stir in the void, it returns, in you. Convenient timing, Naruto remarked dryly. The universe rarely deals in coincidence, Astra replied. Especially when forces of such magnitude are involved. Naruto was about to respond when a sound caught his attention, a low hissing that seemed to come from all directions at once. He immediately dropped into a defensive stance, kunai appearing in his hand. We have company, he warned. Astra seemed unconcerned. Yes. Our first test approaches. From the shadows between the trees emerged a creature unlike anything Naruto had seen before. It resembled a massive serpent, easily 20 feet long, but its scales glittered like black diamonds, and what should have been a snake's head was instead a woman's face, beautiful yet terrible, with eyes that glowed the same red as the blood moon above. Child of night, the creature hissed, its voice melodious despite its fearsome appearance. You bring a mortal to my domain. How amusing. Lamashtu, Astra greeted with a respectful inclination of her head. Thank you for answering my call. I came out of curiosity, nothing more, the serpent woman replied, her gaze fixed on Naruto. This is the vessel. He looks unremarkable. Hey, Naruto protested, standing right here, you know. The creature's eyes narrowed. It speaks boldly for mere flesh and blood. He is more than he appears, Astra said. Naruto, this is Lamashtu, a shadow deity from a pantheon long forgotten in our world. She has agreed to help test your abilities. Test how, exactly? Naruto asked, not taking his eyes off the massive serpent. His answer came in the form of an attack, blindingly fast. Lamashtu lunged forward, her diamond-scaled body whipping through the air like a living weapon. Naruto barely had time to leap aside, the creature's massive form crashing into the spot where he'd stood a heartbeat earlier. Whoa, he shouted, flipping backward to gain distance. A little warning next time. Enemies rarely give warning, Astra called from where she now stood at the edge of the clearing. Show her what you can do, Naruto. Fine, Naruto muttered, forming a familiar hand sign. Shadow Clone Jutsu. A dozen copies of himself appeared, surrounding Lamashtu in a loose circle. The serpent deity looked momentarily startled before a cruel smile spread across her beautiful face. Interesting trick, she hissed. But mere copies won't save you. She moved again, her body twisting and contorting impossibly as she struck at 3 clones simultaneously. They poofed out of existence on impact, but the distraction allowed the real Naruto and his remaining clones to launch their counterattack. 2 clones came in from either side, kunai flashing. Lamashtu easily deflected them with sweeps of her massive body, dispelling both. But they'd served their purpose, keeping her attention split while the real Naruto prepared his next move. Wind style, gale palm, he shouted, directing a concentrated blast of air directly at the creature's face. Lamashtu hissed in pain as the wind struck her, but what truly surprised her was the green smoke that erupted where Naruto's chakra-infused air made contact with her scaled body. The diamond-like scales began to dull, turning gray and brittle. What is this? She shrieked, rearing back. What poison is this that burns immortal flesh? The oldest kind, Astra answered calmly. The divine poison has returned, Lamashtu. As I told you it might. The serpent deity's eyes widened in what appeared to be genuine fear. Impossible. It was banished beyond the reach of any power. Yet here it stands before you, Astra said, gesturing to Naruto. Reborn in a vessel from another reality entirely. Naruto, seeing an opening, directed more of the toxic energy into his palm, forming it into a swirling green Rasengan. The poisonous chakra responded more eagerly now, almost as if it recognized its target. Want to see what else it can do? He called, holding up the ominously glowing sphere. Lamashtu recoiled, her body curling defensively. Enough. I am convinced. She turned her gaze to Astra. You were right to warn us. The balance shifts once more. This was a test. Naruto demanded, allowing the toxic Rasengan to dissipate. Of course, Astra replied, approaching calmly. Lamashtu is an ally, albeit a cautious one. I needed her to confirm what my mother suspected, that your poison affects even deities outside our pantheon. You could have just told me that, Naruto grumbled, dispelling his remaining shadow clones. Would you have believed without demonstration? Lamashtu asked, her voice now more measured. Words are wind. Proof is power. She slithered closer, examining the spot where Naruto's attack had damaged her scales. The poison burns deep. It will take time to heal. Sorry about that, Naruto said, not entirely sincerely. Lamashtu's lips curved into what might have been a smile. You are not sorry at all, little vessel. I begin to see why the poison chose you. Is there more you can tell us? Astra asked. About the stirrings in the void my mother has sensed. The serpent deity's expression grew serious. Whispers reach even this realm. Old powers wake, hunger renewed. The siblings of your mother grow restless in their prisons. Siblings? Naruto asked. You mean other primordials? The children of chaos are many, Lamashtu confirmed. Some known to your Greek legends, others forgotten or purposely erased from memory. With both Gaia and Tartarus having stirred in recent years, the barriers weaken. Those who are bound seek liberation. And they'd be vulnerable to whatever poison I'm carrying, Naruto concluded. Which makes you valuable, and a target, Lamashtu hissed. Already hunters move between realms, seeking the source of this new power. You were wise to bring him here for training, daughter of Nyx, but unwise to linger too long. Astra frowned. Hunters? What hunters? Those who serve the forgotten ones, Lamashtu replied cryptically. I have said enough. Remember our bargain, child of night. My aid does not come freely. You will have what was promised, Astra assured her. With a final, penetrating look at Naruto, Lamashtu turned and slithered back into the shadows between the metallic trees, her diamond scales catching the moonlight before she vanished completely. Okay, what was that about a bargain? Naruto asked once they were alone. Nothing that concerns you, Astra replied, suddenly distant again. Come. We have more ground to cover, and Lamashtu's warning about hunters is troubling. They continued deeper into the twilight realm, following paths that sometimes vanished and reappeared beneath their feet. Along the way, they encountered other beings, some humanoid, others defying description, and each time, Astra encouraged Naruto to test his abilities against them. With each encounter, Naruto gained more control and understanding of the toxic power flowing through him. He learned that he could modulate its effects, from a light touch that merely weakened divine entities to a concentrated blast that could temporarily incapacitate them. He discovered he could coat weapons with the poison, turning his ordinary kunai into tools that could harm immortal flesh. And most surprisingly, he found that his shadow clones could also channel the poison, though at reduced strength. You're a quick study, Astra observed after Naruto successfully repelled a pack of shadow wolves whose bites could supposedly steal years of life from their victims. I've had practice adapting to new powers, Naruto replied, thinking of his journey with Jiraiya and the many techniques he'd mastered over the years. But I still don't get why this poison chose me specifically. There must be plenty of containers it could have jumped into. Perhaps it recognized something in you, Astra suggested as they paused to rest beside a stream that flowed with what looked like liquid starlight. The original bearer was said to be defiant, unwilling to be defined by the power he carried. Yet he wielded it when necessary to maintain balance. Sounds familiar, Naruto admitted. But I'm still planning to find a way home once this is all over. My friends need me. Of course, Astra said, though something in her tone suggested doubt. Naruto studied her face in the ethereal light. You don't think I can go back, do you? Astra was quiet for a long moment. I think, she finally said, that powers such as these rarely release their chosen vessels easily. And I think that perhaps you were brought here for reasons beyond the immediate threat. Well, that's comforting, Naruto muttered. The strange hairs on the back of his neck suddenly stood on end. In an instant, he was on his feet, senses alert. Someone's coming, he warned. Multiple someones. And they're trying to be stealthy about it. Astra rose, her hand moving to the pendant at her throat. Not creatures of this realm. They would announce themselves to me out of respect for my mother. Lamashtu's hunters. Naruto guessed. Possibly. Be ready. They didn't have to wait long. From the shadows emerged a group of figures wearing hooded robes of midnight blue, faces hidden behind bone-white masks carved to resemble screaming faces. They moved with fluid grace, spreading out to surround Naruto and Astra. Servants of Akhlys, Astra breathed, recognition and surprise in her voice. The misery goddess? Naruto asked, recalling mentions of her from camp discussions. Why would she be hunting me? Night Child, one of the masked figures spoke, ignoring Naruto entirely. Step aside. Our quarrel is not with you or your mother. We come only for the vessel. The vessel has a name, Naruto said irritably. And he'd like to know why Akhlys is sending masked goons after him. The leader's masked face turned toward him. You carry what belongs to our mistress, usurper. The divine poison is her domain, her essence. She would reclaim it. That's not what I heard, Naruto countered. The poison existed before the Titans, which means before Akhlys too, right? A ripple of what might have been anger moved through the assembled servants. You know nothing of our mistress's true nature, mortal. She is poison and misery incarnate, ancient beyond your comprehension. Regardless, Astra interrupted, Naruto is under my protection, and by extension, the protection of Nyx. Your mistress would do well to remember the hierarchy of the primordials before she provokes conflict. The leader shifted slightly, mask tilting as if in contemplation. Perhaps there is room for negotiation. The vessel may keep his mortal shell. We require only the poison he carries. And how exactly would you extract it? Naruto asked skeptically. Because it seems pretty well merged with my chakra system at this point. That is not your concern, the figure replied coldly. You will come with us to our mistress. She will separate you from what you have stolen. Yeah, that's gonna be a hard pass, Naruto said, dropping into a fighting stance. I didn't ask for this poison thing, but I'm not handing it over to some goddess I've never even met. Then we shall take it by force. The servants of Akhlys moved as one, drawing weapons that seemed formed from solidified misery, curved blades that wept actual tears and emanated an aura of despair. Naruto felt the toxic energy within him surge in response to the threat, almost eager to be unleashed against these adversaries. He channeled it into his hands, forming swirling green orbs of poisonous chakra. Last chance to walk away, he warned. Their answer came in the form of attack. 3 servants lunged forward, their misery blades slashing at Naruto from different angles. He leapt high, flipping over their heads while his hands flashed through signs. Shadow Clone Jutsu. A dozen Narutos appeared, each channeling the toxic chakra in different ways, some forming Razengans, others coating kunai with the green energy, still others preparing to use it barehanded. Astra, meanwhile, had drawn her own weapon, a slender black blade that seemed to drink in light. She moved with lethal grace, engaging 2 servants at once, her fighting style fluid and unpredictable as shadow itself. The battle erupted across the clearing, misery blades clashing against poison-infused kunai. Naruto's clones provided confusion and multiple attack vectors, while the real Naruto assessed their opponent's capabilities. These weren't ordinary minions. They moved with inhuman speed and coordination, their weapons capable of dispelling shadow clones with a single touch. Worse, they seemed partially resistant to the toxic chakra, taking only minimal damage where it made contact with their robes. The poison recognizes its kin, the leader called, deflecting a toxic Rasengan with his blade. Akhlys and the divine poison are of the same essence, fool. Naruto! Astra shouted, ducking beneath a swing that would have taken her head. We need to retreat. There are too many. She was right. For every servant they incapacitated, more seemed to emerge from the shadows. This was a battle they couldn't win through brute force. Naruto nodded, forming a new plan instantly. Cover me. His remaining clones moved to surround him protectively while he gathered chakra, both normal and toxic, into a dense concentration. Astra fought her way to his side, her black blade leaving trails of darkness where it cut through the air. Whatever you're planning, do it quickly, she urged. Almost there, Naruto grunted, the swirling energies in his hands growing more intense. Get ready to run toward that big tree. When the toxic chakra reached critical mass, Naruto slammed his hands into the ground. Poison style, toxic shockwave. Green energy erupted outward in all directions, the ground itself seeming to liquefy beneath the servants' feet. Where the wave touched them, their robes smoked and their masks cracked, driving them back with howls of pain and surprise. Now! Naruto shouted, grabbing Astra's hand and running for the massive tree he'd indicated. They sprinted across the clearing, the disoriented servants of Akhlys struggling to regroup behind them. Reaching the tree, a towering specimen with bark like polished obsidian, Astra pressed her palm against it, her pendant glowing urgently. Open a path, by the power of night, she commanded. For a heart-stopping moment, nothing happened. Then the darkness beneath the tree began to shift and stretch, forming another doorway similar to the one that had brought them to this realm. Go! Astra urged, pushing Naruto toward the opening. He dove through, Astra right behind him. The sensation of shadow travel enveloped him once more, that disorienting feeling of being everywhere and nowhere simultaneously. Behind them, he could sense the servants of Akhlys attempting to follow, but the passage was already closing, Astra's will sealing it shut. The journey seemed to last both an instant and an eternity before they tumbled out onto solid ground once more, but not the forest where they had begun their journey. Instead, they found themselves in a vast cavern, its ceiling so high it vanished into darkness, its walls adorned with ancient murals that glowed with faint phosphorescence. Where are we? Naruto asked, picking himself up from the stone floor. This isn't Camp Half-Blood. No, Astra agreed, looking around with a frown. The attack disrupted my concentration. I couldn't direct us precisely. She studied their surroundings more carefully. This appears to be one of the borderlands, places that exist between shadow realms and the mortal world. Naruto approached one of the glowing murals, his eyes widening as he made out the imagery. The wall depicted a battle between titanic figures, some he recognized from descriptions at camp as titans, others as gods. But in the center of the conflict stood a single human-sized figure, surrounded by green energy that stretched out like tentacles, withering immortals wherever it touched them. Is that, he began. The original bearer, Astra confirmed, coming to stand beside him. This must be a temple dedicated to the divine poison from before it vanished from our world. Naruto studied the central figure more closely. The artist had depicted him as nondescript, neither old nor young, neither handsome nor ugly, his features deliberately bland. Only his eyes stood out, rendered in vivid detail, determined, defiant eyes that seemed to challenge the very concept of divinity around him. They didn't even record what he looked like, Naruto murmured. Or perhaps they couldn't, Astra suggested. Some legends say the poison changed bearers, moving from host to host as needed. Others claim it could alter its vessel's appearance at will, making them forgettable when they wished to hide. Naruto moved along the wall, following the story depicted in the murals. They showed the bearer confronting various divine beings, always surrounded by that distinctive green energy. One scene showed him apparently healing a blighted landscape. Another depicted him facing down what must have been Kronos himself, the Titan Lord recoiling from the poison's touch. The final mural was the most disturbing. It showed the bearer standing before a tear in reality, the poison flowing out of him and into the rift while Titans closed in from all sides. The banishment, Astra said softly. When the last bearer sent the poison beyond the reach of the Titans, sacrificing himself in the process. He died? Naruto asked. The legends are unclear. Some say he perished. Others claim the poison preserved some fragment of his essence, carrying it along to seek a new vessel someday. Naruto stared at the mural, an uncomfortable feeling settling in his gut. So I might not just be carrying this poison, I might have some dead guy's soul fragment hanging out in me too. Great. As if one tenet wasn't enough. Astra touched his arm lightly, the first time she'd initiated contact outside of necessity. It's only legend, Naruto. What matters is that you control the poison now, not the other way around. A distant sound echoed through the cavern, something between a footstep and a heartbeat, reverberating off the ancient walls. We're not alone, Naruto warned, instantly alert. No, agreed a familiar voice. You're not. From the shadows emerged Percy, Annabeth, and Grover, looking disheveled and wary. Percy held his bronze sword ready, while Annabeth clutched a bone-white dagger. Grover awkwardly held what appeared to be a set of reed pipes. Guys? Naruto said, surprised. What are you doing here? Following you, Percy replied, not lowering his weapon. After you disappeared with Astra, Chiron got worried. We volunteered to track you down. How did you even find us? Astra asked, her voice sharp with suspicion. No ordinary demigod could follow a shadow path. Annabeth held up a small silver compass. This is attuned to unusual energy signatures. After your training sessions with Naruto, we collected samples of the residual poison energy. This led us to you. Spy much? Naruto said, raising an eyebrow. It was a precaution, Annabeth defended. You're carrying something incredibly powerful and potentially dangerous. Did you really expect Camp Half-Blood to just let you wander off without any monitoring? Fair point, Naruto conceded. But why follow us? We were just training. In another dimension, Percy pointed out. Without telling anyone where you were going. And then your energy signature went haywire about 20 minutes ago, like you were in combat. We were, Astra admitted reluctantly. Servants of Akhlys attacked us in the Twilight Realm. Grover bleated nervously. Akhlys? The misery goddess? Why would she care about Naruto? She claims the divine poison belongs to her domain, Astra explained. Which is partially true, poison and misery are closely linked aspects of reality. But the divine poison predates her. It belongs to no single deity. So now we have angry servants of a primordial misery goddess after us, Percy summarized. Awesome. Just another Tuesday. Despite the tension, Naruto found himself smiling. Percy's sardonic attitude reminded him of Shikamaru's perpetual exasperation with troublesome situations. Look, Naruto said, I appreciate the concern, but we're fine. We handled the attack and ended up here. Now we just need to find our way back to camp. About that, Annabeth said, examining their surroundings with growing interest. Do you realize where we are? These murals, this architecture, this must be the lost temple of Moros. Moros? Naruto repeated. The god of doom and destiny, Annabeth explained, her gray eyes bright with academic excitement despite the situation. Brother to Thanatos and son of Nyx. These carvings match descriptions from ancient texts, a hidden temple where the inevitability of fate was celebrated and feared in equal measure. My half-brother, Astra murmured, studying the murals with new understanding. This would explain why the shadow path brought us here. Blood calls to blood, even across realms. So we're in a temple dedicated to the god of doom, Naruto summarized. That doesn't sound ominous at all. Actually, Annabeth continued, running her fingers over the carvings, Moros was also associated with the concept of cosmic balance. Some legends portrayed him not as a malevolent force, but as a necessary counterweight to divine hubris. Like the divine poison, Naruto realized. Exactly, Annabeth nodded. This temple might contain information about the poison's origins and purpose. It could help us understand what's happening to you. Then we should explore, Percy suggested, finally lowering his sword. Since we're all here anyway. Astra didn't look pleased about the unexpected company, but she nodded reluctantly. The temple appears abandoned. My brother has not been actively worshipped for centuries. But we should remain vigilant, old power lingers in such places. They moved deeper into the temple, following a corridor that branched off from the main chamber. The walls continued to display murals, though these depicted less cosmic scenes, humans making offerings at altars, priests in dark robes consulting oracles, mortals accepting or defying their proclaimed destinies. Cheerful place, Naruto commented as they passed a particularly graphic depiction of a man meeting his prophesied doom despite numerous attempts to avoid it. Moros wasn't big on sugarcoating, Grover said nervously. The whole, inevitable doom, thing doesn't really lend itself to uplifting decor. The corridor opened into a second chamber, smaller than the first but no less impressive. At its center stood a raised dais supporting an obsidian basin filled with what looked like liquid shadow. Surrounding the dais were statues of hooded figures, their faces hidden within their cowls. A scrying pool, Astra explained, approaching the basin cautiously. Priests of Moros would use it to glimpse threads of destiny. Does it still work? Percy asked. Such artifacts rarely lose their power entirely, Astra replied. But using it without proper knowledge would be dangerous. Naturally, that was when everything went sideways. Grover, who had been nervously examining one of the statues, accidentally bumped it with his elbow. The statue rocked slightly, and then its hood turned, revealing a face of living stone with eyes that glowed crimson. Intruders, it rasped, its voice like grinding rock. The sacred temple is defiled. Around the chamber, the other statues began to move, their hoods turning to reveal identical stone faces. Oh, come on. Percy complained, drawing his sword again. Can we go anywhere without something trying to kill us? Guardians of Moros, Astra called out, stepping forward with her hands raised. I am Astra, daughter of Nyx, sister to your master. We seek knowledge, not desecration. The statues paused, their glowing eyes fixed on Astra. Then, as one, they shifted their gaze to Naruto. The poison returns, the first statue intoned. As was foretold. The cycle continues. What cycle? Naruto demanded. What was foretold? Instead of answering, the statue extended a stone arm toward the scrying basin. Look and see, bearer. The past and future await. Naruto glanced at Astra, who nodded cautiously. They're offering knowledge freely. That's rare for servants of Moros. Approaching the basin, Naruto peered into the liquid shadow. At first, he saw only his own reflection, distorted and wavering. Then the surface began to swirl, images forming within the darkness. He saw a young man in ancient Greek clothing, surrounded by the now familiar green energy as he faced down a giant wielding a scythe, Kronos. He saw the same man, or perhaps another bearer, standing before a council of gods, his presence causing them visible discomfort. He saw the poison passing from vessel to vessel through the ages, sometimes dormant for centuries before awakening in times of cosmic imbalance. And then the images shifted to show something new, a tear in reality, similar to the one depicted in the mural, but from the other side. Naruto gasped as he recognized the forest of death from the Chunin exams, and a young version of himself encountering a strange scroll hidden within a hollow tree. That's how it happened, he breathed. The poison was hiding in my world, dormant, until I accidentally found it during the exams. What do you see? Annabeth asked, unable to view the images herself. My past, Naruto said. And how the poison found me. The liquid shadow swirled again, showing new images, Naruto fighting alongside Percy and others against shadowy adversaries he didn't recognize. He saw himself confronting a beautiful but terrifying woman whose tears fell as poison, Akhlys, he presumed. And finally, he saw himself standing at another tier between worlds, facing a choice that the scrying pool mercifully didn't reveal. The images faded, leaving only his reflection once more. The bearer returns when balance falters, the statue intoned. The poison flows where it must. This is the decree of Moros, the inevitable. So I'm just some cosmic janitor, cleaning up when the gods make a mess? Naruto asked, frustration evident in his voice. I didn't ask for this job. Few who serve balance do, the statue replied impassively. Yet serve you shall, willingly or not. The poison has chosen. There's always a choice, Naruto insisted. I don't care what destiny your boss decreed. I make my own path. A sound like grinding stones filled the chamber, the statues were laughing. So said they all, the first statue remarked. Every bearer believes themselves the exception. Yet all fulfill their purpose in the end. Before Naruto could argue further, the liquid shadow in the basin suddenly began to churn violently, dark tendrils rising from its surface like seeking fingers. Something's wrong, Astra warned, backing away from the dais. The pool shouldn't react like that. The stone guardians turned as one, their glowing eyes dimming with what appeared to be alarm. Intruders, they chanted. Not of blood or bone. Intruders pierced the veil. A thunderous crack split the air as a portion of the chamber wall suddenly shattered inward. Through the breach poured a dozen or more servants of Akhlys, led by the same masked figure who had confronted them in the Twilight Realm. The vessel cannot hide from us, the leader called. The poison calls to its kin. You're tracking the poison itself, Annabeth realized. That's how you found us. Clever girl, the leader acknowledged. Misery finds all eventually. Especially that which belongs to our mistress. The stone guardians moved to intercept the intruders, but the servants of Akhlys were prepared. They threw vials of gleaming liquid that shattered against the statues, coating them in a substance that rapidly corroded stone. Within seconds, several guardians had crumbled to dust. They came prepared, Percy noted grimly, readying his sword. Any ideas? We fight, Naruto said simply, channeling the toxic chakra into his hands. Unless anyone has a better plan. No one did. The battle erupted across the temple chamber, Percy and Annabeth engaging the servants directly, their weapons flashing in the dim light. Grover played his reed pipes, causing roots to burst through the stone floor and entangle several enemies. Astra melded with shadows, appearing and disappearing around the room to strike from unexpected angles. Naruto created a squad of shadow clones and waded into the thick of combat. The toxic chakra responded more readily now, as if energized by the revelation of its history. He found he could shape it with greater precision, forming it into blades, shields, and even a crude bow that fired arrows of concentrated poison. The servants of Akhlys fought with desperate intensity, clearly under orders to capture Naruto at any cost. Several fell to his poisoned attacks, dissolving into mist rather than dying. Others were dispatched by Percy's sword or Annabeth's dagger, while the remaining stone guardians accounted for a few more. The tide seemed to be turning in their favor when disaster struck. As Naruto engaged the leader directly, a servant he hadn't noticed circled behind him. The masked figure flung a net woven from what looked like solidified misery, the same material as their blades. It enveloped Naruto, immediately suppressing his ability to channel chakra. Got you, the servant hissed triumphantly. Naruto struggled against the binding, but the more he fought, the tighter it constricted. Worse, where it touched his skin, he felt the toxic energy being drawn out of him, flowing into the net itself. Guys! Little help here, he called, dodging a strike from the leader while still entangled. Percy turned, eyes widening at Naruto's predicament. He charged forward, only to be intercepted by 3 servants who drove him back with coordinated attacks. Astra materialized from shadow directly behind Naruto's captor, her black blade slicing through the servant's mask. The figure dissolved with a shriek, but the net remained intact around Naruto. Hold still, Astra commanded, examining the binding. This is spun from divine misery. Cutting it carelessly could harm you more than help. Figure it out fast, Naruto grunted, still struggling to keep the leader at bay despite his restricted movement. This thing is draining the poison out of me. Astra's eyes narrowed as she placed her hands on the net. By the power of night, I command you to unravel, she intoned, her pendant glowing with intense purple light. The net shuddered but remained intact. It resists my authority, Astra said, frustration evident. Akhlys has woven her own essence into it. The leader laughed, a hollow sound behind the bone mask. The night cannot command misery, child. Different domains, different powers. Then maybe this can, came Annabeth's voice. She appeared at Naruto's side, the bone-white dagger in her hand. This blade was forged to sever divine bonds. It might work on the net. Or it might react catastrophically with the poison being drained from Naruto, Astra warned. We don't know enough about the interaction. Got a better idea? Annabeth challenged. Ladies, debate later, Naruto interrupted through gritted teeth. Just get this thing off me. Making a split-second decision, Annabeth slashed at the net with her dagger. The blade glowed where it contacted the misery-woven material, and for a heart-stopping moment, nothing happened. Then, with a sound like a distant wail, the net began to unravel, threads of solidified misery dissolving into mist. Naruto felt the drain on his toxic energy cease, the poison flowing back into his chakra network. Thanks, he gasped, rolling his shoulders as he was freed. That was not pleasant. We must retreat, Astra insisted, glancing around the chamber where the battle still raged. There are too many, and they were prepared for us. The temple is no longer safe. How? Percy called, dispatching another servant with a well-placed thrust. We don't exactly have an exit door. Grover, who had been using his reed pipes to keep enemies at bay, suddenly pointed toward the scrying basin. The pool. It's changing. They turned to see the liquid shadow in the basin churning violently, rising up in a column that twisted and expanded until it formed an archway of swirling darkness. A gateway, Astra realized. The temple itself offers escape. Or a trap, Annabeth countered. No choice, Naruto decided, already moving toward the dais. Better an unknown destination than capture by these creeps. He was right, the remaining servants of Akhlys were regrouping, and several of the stone guardians had been reduced to rubble. They were outnumbered and cornered. Everyone to the portal. Percy shouted, backing toward the dais while fending off attacks. They converged on the shadow archway, fighting their way through the remaining servants. Grover went through first, followed by Annabeth. Percy hesitated at the threshold. I don't like improvised escape plans, he grumbled. They never end well. Stop complaining and jump, Naruto advised, shoving him through before turning to Astra. After you. Astra shook her head. Together. I won't risk us being separated. Linking hands, they leapt into the swirling darkness just as the leader of the servants lunged for them, fingers grasping at empty air where they had stood a heartbeat before. The shadow journey this time was different, faster, more chaotic. Naruto felt as if they were falling through layers of reality, each one thinner than the last. Beside him, Astra's hand tightened on his, her presence the only constant in the disorienting passage. They crashed onto solid ground in a tangle of limbs, daylight momentarily blinding after the dim temple. When Naruto's vision cleared, he found himself looking up at familiar surroundings. They were back at Camp Half-Blood, specifically on Half-Blood Hill near Talia's pine tree. "Everyone make it?" he asked, pushing himself to his feet and helping Astra up. "Seems like it," Percy confirmed, doing a quick head count. "Though I could have done without the crash landing. Shadow travel is not my favorite form of transportation." "Where did the portal send us?" Grover asked, looking disoriented. "Home," Annabeth answered, gesturing toward the valley where Camp Half-Blood spread out below them. "Somehow, the temple knew where we needed to go." "Not the temple," Astra corrected, her voice subdued. "Moros. My brother has always had a knack for directing people precisely where fate intends them to be." "Well, I'm not complaining about the destination," Percy said. "Though I am wondering why servants of a primordial goddess are so desperate to get their hands on Naruto." "The divine poison represents power," Astra explained. "Power that could shift the cosmic balance. If Akhlys claims it, she elevates herself above other deities of similar rank. It would be destabilizing. So she wants a promotion," Naruto translated. "And I'm the key." "Essentially," Astra agreed. "Though there's likely more to it than simple ambition. Akhlys is ancient and patient. If she moves now, after eons of apparent disinterest in the poison, something significant must be driving her." "The stirrings in the void Nyx and Lamashtu mentioned?" Annabeth suggested. "Probably," Astra nodded. "Which means we need to report what happened to Chiron immediately. The attack on a sacred temple changes things. This is no longer just about Naruto's unusual condition, it's potentially the beginning of another divine conflict." "Great," Percy sighed. "Because we haven't had enough of those recently." They made their way down the hill toward the big house, drawing curious stares from campers as they passed. Given their disheveled appearance and the residual aura of shadow travel still clinging to them, Naruto wasn't surprised by the attention. Chiron was on the porch, apparently in conversation with Mr. D, the camp director Naruto had briefly met during his first day. Both turned as the bedraggled group approached. Well, Mr. D drawled, swirling a Diet Coke in his hand like fine wine. "The prodigal poison returns, with friends in tow. How delightful." "We were attacked," Percy reported without preamble. "Servants of Akhlys tried to capture Naruto in some shadow realm, then tracked us to an ancient temple." Chiron's expression grew grave. "Inside, all of you. This requires privacy." Once they were seated around the ping-pong table in the rec room, each took turns explaining what had transpired, from the training in the Twilight Realm to the encounter with Lamashtu, the attack by Akhlys' servants, the discovery of the Temple of Moros, and the revelations from the scrying pool. Chiron listened intently, his tail flicking with increasing agitation as the story unfolded. When they finished, he exchanged a significant look with Mr. D, who for once seemed to be taking the situation seriously. "This confirms our worst fears," Chiron said finally. "The stirrings in the cosmic void are real, and powerful enough to drive normally reclusive primordials into action." "But what exactly is stirring?" Annabeth pressed. "Gaia is defeated, Kronos is scattered. What could be worse than them?" "There are older powers," Mr. D said, his usual sarcastic tone replaced by something more solemn. "Entities the Olympians prefer not to discuss or even acknowledge. Siblings and cousins of Nyx and Gaia whose domains are problematic." "Like what?" Percy asked. "Entities of unbeing," Chiron explained reluctantly. "Forces that represent cosmic dissolution, the unraveling of creation itself. They were bound at the dawn of time, relegated to the darkest corners of the void. But if the barriers weaken—" "End of the world stuff," Grover summarized nervously. "Again. And the divine poison is supposed to help how, exactly?" Naruto asked. "If these are forces of unbeing, wouldn't poison just be, I don't know, redundant?" The poison doesn't just destroy, Astra replied. It balances. That's what we saw in the temple murals, the bearer using the poison both to harm divine beings and to heal blighted landscapes. It represents the necessary counterweight to excessive power in either direction. Precisely, Chiron agreed. The divine poison exists to maintain cosmic equilibrium. It can harm immortals, yes, but it can also purify corruption and stabilize disruptions in the fabric of reality. Naruto absorbed this, thinking about how the toxic chakra had responded to his control. It had felt almost intelligent, adapting to his intentions rather than simply destroying everything it touched. So I need to master this thing completely, he concluded. Not just the harmful aspects, but the purifying ones too. Yes, Chiron said. And quickly. If Akhlys has mobilized her servants so openly, others will soon follow. Every primordial, titan, and deity with an interest in cosmic power will be seeking you out, some as ally, most as adversary. No pressure, Naruto muttered. There's something else, Annabeth said, her gray eyes troubled. The servants of Akhlys mentioned that misery finds all eventually. What if they can track the divine poison itself? That would mean nowhere in camp is truly safe for Naruto. Chiron nodded grimly. A valid concern. The camp's boundaries protect against many threats, but divine tracking is another matter entirely. So what do we do? Percy asked. We can't just hand Naruto over to the misery goddess. No, Chiron agreed. But perhaps we can mask the poison signature somehow. All eyes turned to Mr. D, who had been unusually quiet. The god of wine raised an eyebrow. What? You expect me to pull a divine cloaking device out of thin air? Your domain includes madness, Annabeth pointed out. Confusion of the senses. Couldn't you create something that would obscure Naruto's unique energy signature? Mr. D looked mildly impressed. Not completely terrible thinking, Annabelle. I could potentially craft something that would muddle divine perception. Not indefinitely, but perhaps long enough to develop a more permanent solution. That would help, Chiron said with evident relief. Meanwhile, Naruto should continue his training with Astra. If conflict is inevitable, we need him fully prepared to control all aspects of the poison. And what about getting me home eventually? Naruto asked. That's still the end goal here. An uncomfortable silence fell over the room. The scrying pool showed you standing before a portal between worlds, Astra finally said. That suggests a return is possible. But perhaps only after whatever cosmic imbalance is occurring has been addressed. Great, Naruto sighed. So I'm stuck here until I help solve your divine crisis. Look at it this way, Percy offered. At least you're not alone. We've all been through weird prophecy stuff before. We'll help however we can. Naruto appreciated the sentiment, though he couldn't shake the feeling that his situation was growing more complicated by the hour. Still, having allies like Percy, Annabeth, and even the enigmatic Astra made the burden easier to bear. Thanks, he said sincerely. I guess if I'm going to be cosmic janitor for a while, I could use a cleaning crew. Percy grinned. That's the spirit. Though I'm definitely more of a break things and let someone else clean up kind of helper. Children, Chiron interrupted, though his eyes held a glimmer of amusement. Perhaps we should focus on immediate concerns. Dionysus, how quickly can you create this perception clouding artifact? Mr. D swirled his Diet Coke contemplatively. A few hours, assuming I'm not interrupted by tedious camp activities or whining demigods. I'll ensure you have the necessary privacy, Chiron promised. Astra, continue working with Naruto on mastering the purification aspects of the poison. Percy, Annabeth, Grover, I need you to discreetly alert the senior counselors. If divine conflict is brewing, the camp must be prepared. As the meeting broke up, Naruto found himself walking alongside Astra toward the forest. The afternoon sun was beginning to descend, casting long shadows that seemed to reach for her like old friends. You should rest, she suggested. The shadow travel and combat have depleted your energy. I'm fine, Naruto insisted, though truthfully he was exhausted. But I have questions. The scrying pool showed me things, about how the poison found me, about possible futures. Did you see any of it? Astra shook her head. The visions were for you alone. That's how Moros operates, each person glimpses only what fate intends them to see. Well, it showed me finding this scroll during the Chunin exams. That's a test ninja take to advance in rank. I thought it was just another forbidden jutsu scroll at the time. I never even opened it. Yet it marked you, Astra concluded. The poison recognized a suitable vessel and waited for the right moment to activate, when you crossed between realities. That's the part one don't get, Naruto said, frustration evident in his voice. How did I cross over in the first place? The last thing I remember was a mission with my team. Sasuke was reaching for some ancient artifact, I tried to stop him, there was a flash of light, and then I woke up here. Perhaps that artifact was connected to the scroll you found years earlier, Astra suggested. The poison creating a path for its vessel to return to our world when needed. So I was manipulated, Naruto said flatly. Set up from the beginning. Astra considered this. Not necessarily manipulated. Chosen, perhaps. The poison doesn't control minds or destinies, it recognizes qualities in potential vessels. Something about you made you uniquely suited to carry this power. My stubbornness? Naruto suggested with a wry smile. Your balance, Astra corrected. You contain darkness, your fox spirit, yet remain fundamentally light. You understand pain intimately, yet choose compassion. You possess great power, yet seek to protect rather than dominate. These are rare qualities, especially in combination. Naruto fell silent, digesting this. He'd never thought of himself in those terms. To him, his choices had always seemed obvious: use his power to protect friends, to build connections rather than destroy them. The fact that these qualities might have cosmic significance was both flattering and unsettling. They reached the edge of the forest, where shadows deepened beneath ancient trees. Astra turned to face him, her dark eyes serious. There's something else you should know, she said. Something my mother revealed to me in dreams last night, after you began your training. What? The connection between Akhlys and the divine poison is complex. They are not the same force, but they are relatives, in a sense. Different expressions of similar cosmic principles. Meaning? Meaning her interest in you goes beyond simple power acquisition. She believes the poison rightfully belongs in her domain. And there may be some truth to that claim. Naruto frowned. So you're saying I should just hand myself over to the misery goddess? No, Astra said firmly. I'm saying you should be prepared for her to offer alliance rather than merely seeking capture. She may approach you directly, appealing to the poison's nature rather than fighting against it. And if she does? Then you will face a choice, Astra said simply. One that could determine the course of the coming conflict. Before Naruto could respond, a soft cough interrupted them. They turned to find Percy standing a few yards away, looking slightly uncomfortable. Sorry to intrude on dramatic prophecy hour, he said, but Mr. D wants to see Naruto. Says he's finished that perception clouding thing already. That was fast, Naruto remarked, surprised. Percy shrugged. Apparently wine gods work quickly when motivated. And by motivated, I mean Chiron promised him a month's supply of premium vintages from Olympus. We'll continue this discussion later, Astra told Naruto. For now, the artifact takes priority. They followed Percy back to the big house, where they found Mr. D lounging on the porch with a satisfied expression. On the table beside him sat what looked like an ordinary leather wristband with a small purple stone set into its center. Ah, Perry, you found the poison boy. Good, Mr. D drawled, gesturing lazily at the wristband. One perception clouding artifact, as requested. Don't say I never did anything for you people. Naruto picked up the wristband, examining it skeptically. This little thing is going to hide the divine poison from tracking. Not hide, Mr. D corrected, sipping his Diet Coke. Confuse. Any deity attempting to locate you will find their senses scrambled, receiving dozens of false signals. Think of it as divine static. How long will it last? Astra asked. A few weeks, perhaps a month, Mr. D replied with a shrug. Divine craftsmanship isn't an exact science, especially when working with forces as primal as the poison. But it should buy you time. Naruto slipped the wristband on. The purple stone pulsed once, then settled into a steady, faint glow. Immediately, he felt the toxic energy within him respond, becoming somehow, muffled, less prominent to his senses. It's working, he confirmed. The poison feels more contained now. Of course it's working, Mr. D sniffed indignantly. I may detest this camp and everyone in it, but I am still a god, thank you very much. Thank you, Lord Dionysus, Astra said formally. Your assistance is appreciated. Yes, yes, he waved dismissively. Now run along and save the world or whatever it is you heroic types do. Some of us have important divine business to attend to. He raised his Diet Coke in demonstration of said, important business. As they left the big house, Naruto flexed his wrist, getting used to the feel of the wristband. So this buys us time. What's the next step? You continue training, Astra replied. But not in Shadow Realms, that's too risky now that Akhlys' servants are actively hunting. We'll work here, within camp boundaries. And then what? Naruto pressed. We can't just wait for the next attack. No, Astra agreed. Eventually, we must take a more proactive approach. My mother mentioned an ancient artifact, the Chalice of Equilibrium, that was used by the original bearers to amplify and direct the poison's purifying aspects. Finding it could give us an advantage. Great, a quest, Percy said, perking up. Those always go so well. Not a quest yet, Astra cautioned. First, Naruto needs to master the basics of the poison's dual nature. Then we can consider seeking the chalice. Fine by me, Naruto agreed. I'd rather know exactly what I'm doing with this power before going artifact hunting anyway. As they discussed training schedules, Naruto couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching them. He glanced around camp, seeing nothing unusual, just normal activities, demigods practicing and satyrs tending the strawberry fields. Yet the sensation persisted, a prickling at the back of his neck that his years as a shinobi had taught him never to ignore. Something wrong? Percy asked, noticing his distraction. Not sure, Naruto admitted. Just a feeling. He looked up, scanning the sky, and for just a moment, thought he saw a flash of green against the blue expanse, like an eye blinking closed. When he looked again, it was gone. Probably nothing, he said, though he didn't believe it. Let's get back to planning. That night, while most of Camp Half-Blood slept, Naruto sat cross-legged in a clearing deep in the forest. Astra had shown him this secluded spot, assuring him it was safe for meditation despite being somewhat distant from the main camp. The wristband Mr. D had given him glowed softly in the darkness, its purple light casting strange shadows across the grass. Naruto had been trying for hours to reach Kurama, diving deep into his subconscious where the Ninetales usually resided. But the familiar cage stood empty, its bars intact but its occupant nowhere to be seen. Instead, the space around the cage was filled with swirling green mist, the visual manifestation of the divine poison. Come on, Kurama, Naruto muttered, concentrating harder. I know you're in there somewhere. Nothing. Not even the usual grumpy response telling him to go away. With a sigh, Naruto opened his eyes, returning to the physical world. The night was peaceful, crickets chirping and fireflies dancing between trees. Above, the stars shone with unusual brilliance, as if the heavens themselves were watching with interest. Any success? Asked a voice from the shadows. Naruto didn't startle, he'd sensed Astra's approach minutes ago. No. It's like Kurama's still there, but, dormant. Sleeping so deeply I can't reach him. Astra emerged from the darkness, moving to sit beside him on the grass. The transition between realities may have affected him more severely than you. Or perhaps. Perhaps what? Naruto prompted when she hesitated. Perhaps the poison has temporarily subsumed him, she suggested carefully. Not destroyed, but, integrated. Naruto frowned at the implications. You mean Kurama and the poison might be merging somehow? It's possible. Both are ancient powers, both contained within the same vessel. Boundaries between such forces can become fluid over time. Great, Naruto sighed. So now I might have a poisonous fox instead of just a regular chakra fox. That's definitely an improvement. Despite the seriousness of the situation, Astra's lips curved in a small smile. Your ability to find humor in cosmic complications is remarkable. It's either laugh or freak out, Naruto replied with a shrug. And freaking out rarely solves anything. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, watching the fireflies drift like wayward stars between trees. Naruto found himself studying Astra from the corner of his eye, the way the moonlight caught in her dark hair, how the shadows seemed to caress her skin like old friends. You're staring again, she noted, though there was no accusation in her tone. Sorry, Naruto said, not entirely sincere. I was just thinking that you remind me of someone from my world. A friend named Hinata. She has the same, quiet strength. Different look entirely, but similar soul. Was she special to you? Astra asked, her voice carefully neutral. Naruto considered the question. She is, a precious friend. Someone who believed in me when others didn't. I never really thought about it beyond that. I see, Astra said softly. Another silence fell, this one slightly charged with unspoken thoughts. Tomorrow we begin working with the purification aspect of the poison, Astra eventually said, shifting to safer topics. It's traditionally the more difficult half to master. Because destruction is easier than creation? Naruto guessed. Precisely. Breaking something requires far less precision than healing it. The poison can purify corruption, but directing it too strongly can destroy the very thing you're trying to save. Like using a pressure washer to clean a house of cards, Naruto suggested. Astra blinked, then smiled more fully. An apt analogy. Yes, exactly like that. A rustling in the underbrush caught their attention. Both tensed, ready for potential threats, but relaxed when a familiar figure emerged into the clearing. Sorry to interrupt your midnight powwow, Annabeth said, her blonde hair almost silver in the moonlight. But we have a situation at camp. What kind of situation? Naruto asked, immediately alert. A visitor, Annabeth replied. She says she's here to see you specifically, Naruto. And she's not taking no for an answer. Who is it? Astra demanded, rising gracefully to her feet. Annabeth's expression was troubled. She says her name is Akhlys. Naruto stood quickly. The misery goddess? She's here. At camp? At the borders, Annabeth clarified. She can't enter without invitation, but she's making things uncomfortable. Plants are withering where she stands, and campers are having nightmares even while awake. Chiron sent me to find you. Astra's face had gone rigid. This is unprecedented. Primordials rarely manifest so directly, especially on demigod territory. Should I meet with her? Naruto asked. Absolutely not, Astra said sharply. It's almost certainly a trap. She wants the poison, and you're its vessel. But if she's powerful enough to affect the camp from outside its borders, what happens if we just ignore her? Naruto countered. She could hurt innocent people. Astra hesitated, clearly torn. At least let me accompany you. As a daughter of Nyx, I may have some leverage. Our mothers are sisters, of comparable power. I'm coming too, Annabeth stated firmly. Percy and Chiron are already at the border, keeping an eye on her. They moved swiftly through the darkened forest, following Annabeth's lead. As they approached the camp boundaries near Half-Blood Hill, Naruto could feel a change in the atmosphere. The air grew heavier, carrying a scent like bitter tears and withered flowers. They found Percy and Chiron standing tensely at the base of the hill, looking up at a figure who waited just beyond Talia's pine tree, outside the camp's magical borders. Even from a distance, Akhlys was a disturbing sight. She appeared as a gaunt woman with long, matted gray hair that fell over her face like a shroud. Her cheeks were sunken, streaked with tears that fell continuously, yet her eyes burned with a cold green fire visible even through her tangled locks. Her tattered black robes seemed to be perpetually wet, as if soaked in those same endless tears. Where she stood, the grass had withered in a perfect circle, and even Talia's mighty pine seemed to droop slightly in her presence. Naruto Uzumaki, she called as they approached, her voice like dry leaves scraping stone. At last you come to me. I didn't come to you, Naruto corrected, stopping a safe distance from the border. I came to find out why you're harassing this camp and sending your servants to attack me. A sound like breaking glass emerged from Akhlys. It took Naruto a moment to realize she was laughing. Such spirit, she rasped. The poison chooses well, as always. But you misunderstand, little vessel. I do not seek to harm you, but to guide you. Guide me? Naruto repeated skeptically. Your servants tried to capture me in a net that was literally draining the poison out of my body. That's a funny way of showing guidance. Overzealous underlings, Akhlys dismissed with a wave of her skeletal hand. They misinterpreted my wishes. I sought to bring you to me, yes, but not to strip you of your power. Rather, to help you understand it fully. And why would you do that? Astra interjected, her voice cold. The divine poison exists independent of your domain, Akhlys. You have no claim to it. The misery goddess turned her burning gaze to Astra. Child of night, you speak of matters beyond your understanding. The poison and I share essence, different expressions of the same primal force. I existed before the Titans, before your mother took form from chaos. I remember the poison's creation. You're saying you helped create it? Chiron asked, his tail flicking nervously. Not create, Akhlys corrected. Birth. It emerged from my tears when creation was young, a necessary counterbalance to the unbridled power of the first gods. We are kin, the poison and I, family. Naruto studied her carefully, sensing no obvious deception despite her disturbing appearance. If that's true, why wait until now to approach me? Why send servants to attack first? Time moves differently for immortals, Akhlys replied. What seems a calculated sequence to you was merely, testing the waters to me. And I did not know the poison had returned until it awakened fully within you. When you first arrived in this world, it was dormant, hidden. Only when you began to use it did I sense its presence. Convenient, Percy muttered. Akhlys ignored him, her burning eyes fixed solely on Naruto. I have come to offer you knowledge and protection, vessel. The power you carry is ancient and complex, half destruction, half purification. Without proper guidance, you risk becoming consumed by it, or worse, corrupting its purpose. And you're volunteering out of the goodness of your heart? Naruto asked sarcastically. The goddess of misery wants to help me? Sorry, but that's hard to believe. For the first time, Akhlys' perpetual tears seemed to fall faster, a genuine emotion breaking through her cryptic demeanor. You think because I embody suffering that I wish to spread it needlessly? Misery exists for a purpose, vessel. Without sorrow, there can be no joy. Without loss, no appreciation of what remains. I am balance, just as the poison is balance. She's not entirely wrong, Chiron said quietly. The ancient texts describe Akhlys as one of the most primordial forces, predating even the Titans. She represents the necessary suffering that shapes existence. See? Akhlys said, a hint of triumph in her voice. Even the centaur understands. I seek not dominion, but restoration of proper order. The stirrings in the void threaten all, gods, mortals, even primordials like myself. The poison must be wielded correctly if balance is to be maintained. Naruto glanced at Astra, whose expression remained guarded but no longer openly hostile. What exactly are you offering? Training, Akhlys replied immediately. Knowledge of the poison's full capabilities that no living being possesses. Protection from those who would claim it for selfish purposes. And eventually, a path home for you, if that remains your wish. And in return? Astra asked, voicing the question on everyone's mind. In return, the vessel uses the poison as it was intended, to counter forces of unbeing, to restore cosmic equilibrium. To preserve creation rather than allow its dissolution. It sounded reasonable, too reasonable for the goddess of misery. Naruto sensed there must be more she wasn't revealing. Why come in person, he asked. Why not just send a friendly messenger instead of attacking first, then showing up at the camp border? Because time grows short, Akhlys replied, genuine urgency entering her voice. The barrier's thin. Already, tendrils of unbeing reach into this reality. Soon, manifestations will follow. I needed to confirm the poison's return myself, to see its vessel something went wrong with this response, please try again. Begin the next chapter right after this. The end. Thank you for watching this video. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video.